Show 11, Pride Edition for Computer AF. I
Goodbye.
think I put it on backwards, but the feelings are still there. Um,
That's
I'm Anne, a whole award.
And I'm John Boydnod, who is showing
Yes.
less pride than Ann is.
Well, you're actually gay though.
Yeah, no, I know. Where's
The
my
month is about those of us who are not in the club, just sort of like trying to support you through commerce, buying shit at Target that says, ally, and
Yeah.
it's that's called rainbow marketing. Um,
Do you know
for
about the meme of the AI created computer corporate Pride Month thing, the meme on that? Where it's like, yeah, I know that.
Oh, I'm
There's
sure. It's like so awful. Like I feel like if you're actually like LGBTQ plus all the stuff, like I feel like you don't have to do anything. I think you just are like, cool, maybe there's some fun parties. I think it's the rest of us that are like, oh, we gotta show them that we care, and we gotta.
yeah.
It's a very much an activity of like trying too hard.
All I know is
Um,
that there's this one video of a robot-like lady going, "Hello, gay. It is time to sashay into the store for deals. Happy Pride Month." It's
that
like,
seems about right. That seems about right. And you definitely will see that a lot. Rainbow marketing is prevalent, and I don't know which is the back or the front of this hat. I'm just gonna take it off. But
it was
I
great
think that
that it
it's
was.
a well-intended thing that has ended up getting marketed in a way that's a little icky to for people. When brands get in on it, it's usually like,
Yeah, that's the with it Fonzie, the shark. He jumped the shark. Yeah, in the same.
yeah, yeah. Usually when you see like T-Mobile and like big brands jump on it, you're like, okay, all right. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a great idea. I think it's important, but I
it's
also
absurd.
think that it's fun, but it's also been like majorly co-opted by brands in a way that's kind of gross.
Oh, and then it also leads this, not to make it too political here, but it leads this whole part of the population to be bitter about the fact that gay people get this level of attention, and why should I be forced to honor them or da 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 da. So it brings that whole thing into play, which is never comfortable for any
No,
of the gay people who didn't really have a hand in the Pride Month even being created in the first place, which is the vast majority of all gay people. So, or queer people,
right.
people on whatever spectrum it may be, right? So
Yeah,
that's
like maybe be more fabulous. Maybe that's their problem. Maybe they
exactly.
should.
Once upon a time, Pride Month sort of was, obviously for the hey, we exist here, and the vast majority of people would have preferred to have not ever noticed that we existed. So it was about putting ourselves out there and saying, hey, we're here. Now it's sort of like, it's been so co-opted that it makes some people uncomfortable, even the people, even queer people. So it's
Right. It's certainly led to some awkward conversations for me at work, and I'm sure for my members of my team who are um you know all walks of life. I don't want to like
yeah,
call anyone out specifically. I'll just say that like there's some awkward moments that have been had by very well-intended people, which seems to be kind of how it's happening now. But again, there's always some fun parties. There's always a reason to celebrate people that you care about, people that are fabulous. I don't think we need a month for that, but I'm glad that we
yeah.
have it for those who need it.
No, I have
Um,
yeah, I have another friend who online who is a jock and is straight and doesn't know much about these things, and he's like, "Well, I don't understand why they can't." He's sort of rallying for the gays and basically saying, they should get their own month. They chose to be that way, and that they should get to have a month. And yeah, I'm like, buddy, if I could have had a choice in this, I would not have had anything to do with originally being gay. You know what I mean? So
well, I
it's my
think
choice.
people that think that are also all lives matter people. I've found.
Yes,
They're like, well, I don't get it. All lives do matter. Well, it's like, well, that's not really the whole point of any of this.
The point is that God, we don't need to go into that. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no, we do not. And maybe we should just get into the thick of it. But we
yeah.
start talking about our rants and raves. That's going to be the whole show. Especially
It's kind
because
of
a special like flimflamery episode. But
yeah. Where do
haha, I got
you
the
want to
first
start
one.
with? Yeah, you did the first film, Flynn Flammer, but I miss
Burger.
Borgir. Yeah, that's those of you who know.
We're gonna
Borgir.
put a link to the most delightful, loving video in the description for you of a small child enjoying a.
Borgir. A burger, a big old giant burger that's as big as his head, and he
It's
picks it
just,
up. He says, "Borgir."
and you feel his happiness in that moment.
He goes like this as
Um,
he's eating his first bite. It's great. But yeah, where do you want to
I
start? We could
I
keep
mean,
talking,
I
but
guess I could start with the fact that I took my first vacation in 5 years,
oh
and that was an interesting experience. I found it to be like a good 48, 72 hours before I stopped checking my phone
yeah, I'm
because
surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that would. Yeah, I'm surprised
did
you
it
haven't.
happen at all? Yeah, me too. Well, the thing is, like, you kind of get hooked on these notifications, right? Like, your business day is at least for me revolves around availability and requests come in. I support startups. My team supports startups, so we're like constantly getting inbounds, and so um I didn't realize that I myself was addicted to it. So that was like number one. Number two was, read a book. I haven't done that in a while, like a full book cover to cover.
I
Uh,
used to pride myself on reading books, and now I hardly do it at all. And I have like the attention span of a page or two on a book. It's just it's because, like you said, it's the notifications, and we're used to what's the dopamine? It's the dopamine
yeah.
rush. Yeah, and you're like, ooh, what's this little present I've received in the moment? You're like,
Oh, it's a work task.
ooh, foiled again. Oh,
Yeah.
this
Oh, I've received an action item.
this
Yeah.
is.
I mean,
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so that took a minute to adjust to that. And then I had my dogs with me and I love that. We were on a lake and it was calm and I didn't check email either, which was nice. Um
So cool. I can hardly even imagine a world where that's possible. It's like,
yeah, and I didn't go far for that reason because I wanted to take the dogs with us and I also wanted, I don't know. I didn't want it to be too complicated. So that was really nice. But the first thing that hit my desk when I came back was the Google leak.
well,
That
yeah.
was
Hmm.
like, whoa, whoa, because there was like a treasure trove of 14,000 data points. So basically, having read through various things and seeing how everyone slices and dices and analyzes it, essentially, there was some internal documentation that was put up on a GitHub that someone found who I guess was looking for and anonymously leaked it to Rand Fishkin.
Oh,
And so Rand Fishkin, announced it, was like, hey, here it is. And it was posted publicly. And people have been pouring over it ever since. This was about a week and a half ago.
hmm.
And it's probably the hottest goss for search engine marketers that has come about in a decade or more.
Yeah.
And really, to me, like to put a fine point on it, what I think it really showed was that Google says one thing, but then does another. And so, like, they say, like, links don't matter.
Yeah.
Well, it does. They
Yeah.
do. They just don't want you to focus on it because I think when we focus on these things, then they get gamed and then that doesn't work. So, like in the last decade, every time they've told us not to do something, it actually didn't matter. Like
Yeah.
what they were saying wasn't true. Like that was the biggest like for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Because
so my instincts were right. I didn't ignore some of the things they said to not pay attention to. I was like,
yeah. It's one of those things, right? Like where you have these series of things that the various Google algorithms are assessing the importance of on an ongoing basis, and it's like for any, and I think we were always dubious about some of the things that they were saying with regard to that because it's like, look, you have let's say you have a pizza and the pepperoni is links, all right? It's like, and they're telling you can never have pepperoni. Well, or you shouldn't have pepperoni. Well, obviously you can have pepperoni, but it's not the whole thing. You have to have several things. You need crust, you need, the cheese and all the other different, things that the algorithm is looking for. So, I think we knew that they were, we knew what was going on, but we had to just play by their rules the whole way.
Right. And it's not like I ever stopped doing anything I knew was working for my clients because
Yes.
Google said so. Had I quoted them to say, hey, let's not get fixated on it because I didn't want to get fixated on that point at time? Yes.
Yeah.
So Google, if anything, made maybe a liar out of me a few times over the years, but
That's inevitable. They're good. That is just
nobody really knows, even though we know more than we knew 2 weeks ago, nobody
yeah.
really fully knows everything. And I'm surprised such a document existed.
Totally.
Because they'd also denied the existence of said document for many years. I do think it's changing more rapidly now than it ever has. It's been a more exciting time to be an SEO than it ever has,
Mm.
especially on the heels of like AI generated content. And,
Mm.
I'm pretty amped up about Perplexity. Perplexity just announced recently that they're doing pages. So you can take whatever your learning is, whatever your stuff is from them, and turn it into pages, which I thought was an interesting move. So they
What
want to
kind
be
of pages?
like web pages. Like
Oh,
you can
yeah.
create like guides and things based on. So I'm very curious what that means, what the play is there. Obviously, user generated content is the golden chalice of search.
Yeah.
So it's a smart play on their part if they're going to beat Google, but I mean, they're the one to beat. Google's still the one to beat, but I think that they haven't captured our hearts and minds in a while.
One thing that you're reminding me of as you mentioned perplexity is that just a few days ago, and you noticed this as well, I'm sure, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Claude all went down at the same time. Like, and there were,
Mm.
conspiracy folks online who were like, "Oh, I wonder how they all could come down at one time like that. What caused it?" So, because I know Perplexity uses GPT as like part of its backbone for the information
Right.
it delivers. I don't know about Claude. I think Claude is separate. It's not GPT related. But
Right, but it could have been as simple as like AWS. Like it could have been,
yeah, yeah.
Cloudflare, or it could have been a host thing, and they're all hosted in the same. But it does sort of. It's like not the first time we've seen that though. Where like Netflix is down. Oh, this is down because they're hosting these top tier sites are hosting in the same sort of neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like it makes you feel powerless. Like you feel when your internet goes down, you're like, blah, blah, what?
What?
Like, I have to be honest, when I saw a storm coming, and generally when they're predicting like horrific storms, one of the
Yeah.
first things I do is charge my devices and download show.
Yeah.
A
Well,
lot of
that's
people are like, candles, water, supplies. I'm like, mm,
shows.
shows. What if
Shows.
I like don't get to see my show, or what if my phone dies? Like, my priorities are very clear and I can own it.
Are you trying to skip to the bric-a-brac segment, like trying to have it done?
Oh, no, I have
No, shows.
plenty of show. Like I can weave in and out of that like a drunk driver. I can just
Which
I'm
is
I'm
appropriate. Some of
which
these
is why I
shows.
should probably use an air taxi, an electric air taxi, like
Oh
our friend.
yeah, what's the story with the air taxi? You mentioned. Do
Yes.
we have them yet?
I think we're getting closer. A company named Archer Aviation, based out of San Jose, has received a certificate from the FAA that's like only one of two of this particular type of certification
Hmm.
that is essentially going to make electric air taxis a reality. I mean, with traffic being what it is in the Bay Area, California, everywhere, um, the air doesn't seem like a bad choice. Electric sounds good eco-wise, better than gas. Who knows? But Archer has turned some heads by recruiting key talent out of Airbus and other
Yeah.
organizations. Like they've made some positive moves. So, you know, I for one would rather get into an air taxi than a self-driving car at this point. And I don't really have a good reason why. Maybe gut. I don't know.
Well, I tell you,
Statistics.
yeah, I follow that 149ers reporter on YouTube all the time who does like a bunch of his YouTube lives from from Waymo or whichever company.
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me. Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have any issues, although he did point out an interesting flaw when it gets behind a in San Francisco when the Waymo driving car gets behind a cable car, it stays behind the cable car and doesn't try to go around it sometimes if it's a situation where the road is like one lane or whatever and the cable car is in their lane, so it just stays behind the cable car and goes really slow, and it arrives later. So he said that has happened. So there are these mistakes, but as far as accidents, they don't seem to happen that often. But who knows? Who knows where?
Yeah, I think it like maybe my bias is that like they ran into like dogs. They like hurt puppies.
They did hurt a dog
So
at some point. And
so
that.
do regular cars every day. That's not really fair. But I would be devastated personally, but that would be true if I hit a bird. I mean, that would be true of any animal, except for insects because
They don't
but
quite. They're just off doing their own thing. They're a separate thing. Insects generally, I think.
yeah, I can't hug you. Sorry,
Yeah.
insect.
hmm I'm not going to feel bad. The vegans don't want to have honey because it comes from an insect, and they think that is not vegan. I don't know if it quite qualifies, but whatever.
I don't know the rules on that. I just know
Yeah,
that
right. So,
if
me
it's
neither.
if it supports bees, you know, if there are more bees because that's an industry and maybe we breed more and help bees more, great. I mean, that alone is enough for me.
Yeah,
Honey's good. I bought some local honey the other day because it makes for great gifts. Like
yeah, it really.
little like you're showing up at someone's house and they don't drink alcohol. Like, oh, I brought you some local honey. Look at me, I'm clever. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's a great book.
and it doesn't go bad.
No, it
So
doesn't. No, it sure doesn't. Yeah, and
and
I'm told it's healthy for colds and flus and things like
oh,
that.
could also prevent a bear attack. You just take it and then, hey bear, go get this.
Oh, hey bear. Phew. The bear's like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah. No, if we ever go up north to the my family's homestead, I think we'll have to take just I'm just gonna take like a machine gun belt of honey.
Yes.
And then
Shoot it.
that's how we'll stay safe.
A whole ranch.
Yes. Yeah, that's how we'll stay safe is through just throwing jars of honey.
Where to next? NVIDIA or
I mean, you mentioned it. So yeah, I mean I saw actually I think I thought I read it on my own, but I'm like, wait, did I see John's tweet? I might have been gleaming my news from your tweets.
it's okay. Hey, I'm trying to provide some level of service to the people out there,
You
and
really did. Thank
it,
you.
lately I haven't been able to sort of keep up with as many tweets as I would like. But basically, NVIDIA, what are they? They passed Apple's market cap to make them. They're still behind Microsoft.
They're like number 2 or 3 in the world now.
Yeah, their NVIDIA passed Apple in market cap on Wednesday. I guess that's today, as investors continue betting on the chip maker behind the artificial intelligence boom. NVIDIA now the second most valuable public company behind Microsoft. It also hit 3 trillion market cap milestone Wednesday after shares rose over 5%. Yeah, a friend of mine, Scott Bubman, who's a reporter at the NBC station in San Jose, he put the numbers up, and it was like, this won't be. Oh, there it is. It's right here. NVIDIA has a market value of 3.019 trillion, and Microsoft has 3.15 trillion. And I'm thinking, I don't know. You tell me your opinion on this, but is NVIDIA going to soon overtake Microsoft as the most valuable publicly traded company?
I mean, I think it's not unreasonable to assume. I mean, Microsoft got a real bumperoo from the AI boom,
Yeah.
but Nvidia is the dominating force in the GPU race. Um, to the point that I think people think they have it on lock. I don't.
Yeah,
I think there's always room for innovation and competition.
totally.
Um, I also have a lot of friends that work at AMD, so
Well,
and
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Dr. Su, their CEO, is like an incredible case study in like rising through the ranks and has created a tremendous amount of wealth as a CEO for the people at her company and investors. So I don't know. I'm an underdog kind of gal,
Yeah.
but I know that, as AI surges, so does the need for compute. And
Yes.
so,
AF, perhaps.
yes, exactly. And so there's always need for AF, AI AF, but
Wait.
the needs for GPU are only going to increase is there are specialized chips and computers being made. There's AI phones. It's like a new marketing angle, but it's just something that I think there's more room in the space for more than one company. I
Yeah.
just think that they're at this point making a lot of good moves, and I think that they're where they are for a reason. Their performance is top notch, but I personally would like to see the market sort of expand to just one huge player dominating, because that's when innovation sort of
Yeah.
stops. Not that it has in this case, but eventually it's like that's how you end up with monopolies, and I don't want to see it go that way.
Yeah, and I mean, take, as we talked about Google just a little bit ago, I mean, clearly we're in sort of that time where, Google is no longer sort of by itself at the top of, it's sort of like not in its prime in the same way it was. And there's even kind of a bit of decline, especially when you talk about AI and you see how Google has fallen woefully behind GPT and these others. And many people don't think Google has a way to really find its way back and doesn't have the direction of the CEO and all these things, right? So,
Right.
you're seeing a
I
company, but all I'm just bringing it back to NVIDIA is that NVIDIA is at the stage that Google was 10 years ago, where it's like, oh, it's amazing. It can do no wrong. It's da-da-da. And they're probably good guys too, kind of a feel. And it's like, yeah, so we
mm,
can't see it now, but eventually NVIDIA will be where Google is now, which is sort of, you know,
Yesterday's toy.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I would say the other thing that came out and around the time of the leak was that Google's overview AI, like Google basically admitted, was hot garbage.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they're like AI little micro summaries at the top of search. They basically have admitted we're hot garbage, which we all know if we've used it. And I like Gemini. I actually have been like a weird advocate of Gemini because it's very easy to use and it integrates in the Google apps, but I mean, I'm not a hardcore user at this point. I'm using it as like a copy editor, proofreader. I tend to prefer Perplexity for things like I had a really fun result for things to do in Austin. I was just like, hey, maybe this can show me something new, because I think Google local search has kind of had some issues statistically, having been over, the statistics having been edged over by TikTok. But it showed me like stuff I didn't know we had in Austin. So it's like, I think Perplexity is sort of making it interesting in the summaries. Um, but I think we're all sort of grappling with how to stay relevant, how to stay, up on the latest. And it's very clear that our legislators don't know what they're doing on a federal level.
no idea at all.
I mean,
I mean, you get into the AI thing, but quickly, I just want to say one quick thing. One thing I've started using is the GPT and the Perplexity app, which they just came out with, which is basically like, "Hey Siri, open ChatGPT." It opens it, and in like 1 second, I go boop, and then I say, "Please explain to me the difference between this and that," because I use it for like things that I'm just not sure about, and maybe someone even asks, and then it'll just give me 8 paragraphs on it, and I can tell the person, I work at a Whole Foods. They want to know what the difference between whey protein isolate and just whey protein is, and it'll give that to you in 5 seconds, and
right.
you can tell it to the customer. So I mean, it's good that way. It's like having your brain just stored on the little device. that you're holding in your hand, which already is there anyway, more or
That's what
less.
needed that and that's what needed to happen. That
Yeah.
that's what needed to happen for it to be actually usable. Needed to have a smooth voice Google or a smooth voice experience on mobile.
Totally.
But we have not seen any meaningful legislation pass. We have seen it in Europe. We have not seen it on the federal level in the United States, nor have we seen it happen for like social media. I mean, we've got Section 230 and that's like it. But California, of course, being California as leaders in the world of technology, have put forth an AI bill that has been met with some hot, it was hotly contested, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, Scott Wiener put it forth. He spoke recently at a town hall meeting, and I don't think it was a lot of warm fuzzies, having read the write ups in Bloomberg and other places.
Yeah.
Because this new bill seems to shift responsibility to the developer. And I think it just sort of takes us back to this issue we've always had on the internet of like who's liable for the content, who polices the content, who's in charge if weirdos come on and do weird, creepy stuff and crimes, who is
Yeah.
the owner of this? Like that, I mean, that's always been an issue, which is why, the decentralization crypto argument has been a strong one for a lot of privacy advocates and freedom people. I can tell you about consensus if you wanted a bit, but
Yeah.
I really think that um, this bill seems to not have the support of big tech.
Could you just
They
review for me, like real quick, in brief, like what is the key thing that the bill does? It has to do with the large language models and making sure that they do something. I forget. I'm trying to
do
look it
no
up.
harm. I mean, it's also kind of vague in what it's not allowed to do, and it wants to have a kill switch that developers put in, and essentially seems to make them to where they're almost having to share the contents of the algorithms, which I don't think is going to really
Mhm.
work. But it shifts the main thing that I took away from the write-ups that I've read was that it shifts responsibilities to the developer, um, which doesn't seem entirely fair to me.
Yeah.
The company hosting the site, the company making the money should be the one that's liable for any harm that's done. Harm is a very ominous term as well.
Yeah, and I was wondering what constitutes harm. What's an example of harm? Yeah. So
that
it's
that feels like something they should have done a better job in messaging with the press, because it wasn't abundantly clear to me. Like, is it racially profiling? Probably. Is
yeah.
it doing these things that we know are harmful? Like, I really like the way that EU did it for that reason, because they're like, here are specific things it should not do. It shouldn't lead to
Yeah.
um you know racial inequality. It shouldn't lead to, like it laid it out in a way that I think made more sense. So I think without the support of big tech, it's gonna have a problem passing. It did pass the first, I think it passed the House,
Yeah.
um,
California.
in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sounding like I don't know how government works.
It is the state assembly, so it passed the
Yeah,
state. It's
the state assembly. Yeah, sorry, I've been watching a lot of episodes of West Wing lately.
okay.
So in my mind, I'm like a legislator as well. But so it passed the first vote it would need.
But there's
Obviously, I want to talk TV, John. I just keep dancing with it. But so I'm not saying we don't need AI legislation. I'm saying that I don't know that leaving it up to the states is the way to go, because it's not a fair fight. You
yeah.
know, lower income states that have less tech in the Rust Belt, other areas that don't have that sort of power are going to be unable to legislate the way that California does with the concentration of tech and the money. So it just doesn't seem like that's how we want to do it. I think they're just trying to force it so it does happen on a federal level.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and I think that Scott Wiener is and most California legislators would want to try and make it more of a thing that's handled on the federal level, whereas a lot of those folks who live in some of the Rust Belt states and other red states would be less inclined to want to have the federal government dictating anything at all. And so, but like you said, that could lead to certain types of inequality in terms of the way that people are protected and stuff like that. It's a little hard to know. I mean, we're so far at the beginning of this thing that we just have to kind of watch and take a we will see type approach. And but yeah, it would also be better if Scott Wiener was able to get the information out about this thing, and like you said, in a way where he's actually able to tell people what it's really about and what he's wanting them to do and all of that. And it just hasn't really translated, I don't think.
I think, to be fair, too, most people don't really give it a listen.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I invested probably 5 to 7 minutes to understand it, glean what people thought of it, and I didn't really do a deep dive. I didn't read the actual proposed
And that's like
legislation.
90% more. That's like 90% more of what anyone else is able to do because
Right.
we're just sort of busy trying to live their lives or making up money to survive kind of at this point these
Well,
days.
this directly affects my clients, right? This directly
Yeah.
affects the work that I do and the tools that I use. So, like, am I following this? Yes. Am I following the whole TikTok, lawsuit? Is it going to be bought? Is it not? Like, all of this stuff I follow as a person in tech and a person who, wants to know what changes are going to happen as a result. But, um, after all this work talk, I'm thinking
Or
maybe
do you
it's
want?
time to maybe it's time to unwind and talk about what we're watching.
Do we want to complain? Do a 1 minute complaint of Elon at all? Or
Oh gosh, can't get by without that. Well, let's hydrate for this because it's
let's
very
hydrate.
tense.
I don't think it'll be enough, but
I
I have
wish
a
there
friend.
was.
I have a friend who put a picture of one of his trucks that he had seen in his neighborhood. It was just a
Mhm.
picture of the truck. It's like, oh, well, somebody came along and parked their giant refrigerator in front of my house. I don't know, just it made me laugh. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing more of them in the wild here in Austin. I've seen a couple this week. And
well,
every time I point it like
but don't they have like problems that are going to require recall? Like, aren't they all going to need to just be recalled at some point because they don't work or something, or they're dangerous?
well, they are because our buddy Elon is diverting chips to X instead
Hmm.
of Tesla. For whatever reason, he's diverting GPU power to Grok.
Did you find a way to transition into the 56 million story? Or
I
50,
sure
sorry, billion.
billion. I sure did. I sure did because I love to wind you up. I just love to wind you up. Um, so I think that one way to get what you want is to stomp and say, "Give me 56 billion or I'm out."
Yes.
If you're Elon.
Yes. But no, that's
Um,
definitely happening. I mean, it's ultimately I don't have the expertise to really critique him too much on this one, other than to say that he certainly needs to. It just comes back to what's been said about him time and time again, which is that he wants to save the world, but he's not going to be willing to help anybody else in their efforts to do it if he doesn't get all the credit or 99% of the credit. So it has to be about him, and that is a truly sad thing that sort of lessens his I don't know any credibility or respect that I would really want to give him. But at the same time, he is still deserving of some credibility and respect. So
right. Like he put
anyway,
chips in people's brains so they could
yes,
gain. Cool.
yes,
Self-driving cars on the road, not using fossil fuels. Cool.
well,
Um, stomping one's foot for 56 billion, which really we both know is his play to get more market share of the company.
yeah.
That's
He only
that's
has
his
he only has 13.
posturing. Yeah,
He only has 13%, and he would like to have 25%. That's yeah.
right. Posturing to get high. I mean, there's got to be a reason for that number too. That's got to be some more voting rights, more say over. Like, there's some. That's not a random number.
Would he really give that much more attention to Tesla if they were to give him everything that he wants? Wouldn't he still give so much of his attention, in fact, mostly all of it, to going into orbit with these rockets? Or, like you
All
mentioned,
right.
X, or like you mentioned, Neuralink. It's like, would it really make a difference, or would he just still be the same sort of buffoonery lurching forward, from thing to thing and not quite fully making sense and being distracted? I don't know.
One
I
would
would
think.
Yeah. Sorry.
I will tell you, you get my full attention for just 1 billion.
Right? Yeah.
I'll
No, I
write
mean,
you I'll write you a love note every day.
what if they were to donate their money to the cat gazebo? What would happen then?
Well, it's a very important cause. So yes, that would also, if I could get that money for animals in need, absolutely that would work too. Animals in need of gazebos,
Yes.
um, which is a real thing. Uh, I mean,
So,
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I just don't know what the cats do in the gazebos other than nap.
right, right. Well, I mean, it's an extra room that's kind of mostly for them, and it sort of underlines the idea that it's everything's for the, for
You
me.
want me to talk about my catio? Is that where this is going? Are
Yeah, I
we?
mean, I'm transitioning into the bric-a-brac segment with
We're already there. We're past
right.
on. We've hit flimflammery.
Yes, flim flam,
Yeah.
100%.
We've gone past bric-a-brac and we're detouring to flimflammery. Yeah, so I spent an undisclosed amount of money on in 2021 adding a catio to my home, which is
Good investment.
an enclosed patio so that the cats can enjoy the outside. I will say, to be fair, it was also like pre-vaccine.
Mm,
So it was like a nice way to entertain when we were all thinking outdoors was like the answer to our health problems, right? Like you don't get sick if you're outside. So it was that, a little bit of that, but mostly that we wanted the animals to enjoy outdoor space. We have coyotes here in Austin, so you can't really
yeah,
like leave them outside at night. It's not safe, so
we
it's a
have them
way
here
to.
too. And Francisco lost his cat. I don't know how many years ago. But yeah, Gringo is the name of the cat, and yeah, he Gringo got got Gringo got.
Yeah, to me that's like pretty heartache,
Yeah,
extreme heartache. So
it
uh,
led him to get six new cats.
the void that can only be filled by six more cats. I
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. And if I weren't married to a person who stops these things,
Yes.
I would have six cats too. But I just love them. I love all the animals.
Yeah.
But I built this thing because it made sense, but also we designed it specifically for them. So I worked with a contractor and I had like a Southern Comfort, or not Southern, what is it? Not Southern Comfort, that's the alcohol. Southern Living.
Similar
Uh,
theme.
Southern Living sort of porch edition. Like I
Yeah.
picked from that like a picture, but then we extended the railings in the middle so that they would be the appropriate width for a cat butt. Because what the guy showed me is he wanted to put all kinds of crawly things and doodads and shelves, and I was like, well, I want this to like look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole thing is for them. We don't need to like overshoot it. And so the railings are really their favorite thing. They just like to perch on there. They can lay in the sun. When the
Oh.
bugs come in, they like will play with the bugs. Every once in a while a bird comes in and it terrifies me and I have to shoo them in and then get the bird. I still don't know how they're getting in, but every once in a while like a little bird will somehow get in.
Yeah.
And but I have zero fatalities there, thank God.
Good.
Um, but it's really nice to have because you can entertain outdoors, especially if someone, you just look at them and you're like, let's take this outside.
By the way, is that a rainbow glittery background that you have?
It sure is.
Sure is nice.
You, it's for you. I'm
Woohoo!
sorry.
Thank you. If only I had something so awesome. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
It's you're already fabulous. You have nothing to work on. I do change backdrops for the seasons, and this is Pride season, so
Yeah,
of
this is
course.
the appropriate theme. Well,
Right.
to move into the things that I'm watching lately on the boob tube, uh, I'm going to be watching Uncut Gems, which is this Adam Sandler movie that
Mhm.
I'm told by friends is oh so great, but also is very anxiety producing. So I'm getting prepared
That
to
was gonna be my comment to you. Like, know that it's going to probably annoy you along the way. There's a payoff at the end, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but know that
yeah.
it's there is a payoff.
I am told that there are extraordinarily high highs and some very bad lows. And so, yeah, and I was told by one person to try to not break it up into, as I do with these films that I watch. I watch 30 minutes, then I watch 20 minutes, then I watch 30 more, then I watch 20. And I do that because it diffuses the stress. Because I'm not a big believer that artificially created stress is really helpful for anything at all. Um, but I am told that the highs that happen are so high that you don't want to make them less high by uh, not allowing yourself to go through an emotional roller coaster. And I'm like, I don't really know if I need to be taking my life advice from you, buddy. Anyway, it's just, you know, we don't need to mention who that is, but he knows I support him, but I just disagree on this. Anyway, so the other thing was the Star Wars that came out. Well, what are you watching,
Oh
by the way?
yes, yes. You had a whole Star Wars adventure.
Yeah, I mean, the new show on Disney Plus called The Acolyte came out. It's 2 hours. It's interesting, but it was also kind of mid. He was basically like,
I like
you
how
know,
you dropped that in there like everyone knows what mid means.
right. Well, I learned what mid means from the young people. I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, and now I use it, you know, when I can to make myself look less old, and they're not fooled at all. But that's fine. It basically translation it means kind of sucky, but not awful, but not good, and so sort of like a mediocre. I think
Like a eh.
I think when you said mediocre, I think that may be the original sort of like origination of the word, although no one's told me that, but it makes sense if it was. It's sort of like this meh, like a C or a D on the letter grade scale.
I would have thought it was middle. Like
Are you?
mid like middle of the road.
Yes. And so something like
Midway.
that. But I have been told time and time again that it actually is a little bit not as good as that. So it's like less,
Sub.
it's sub middle. It's like, but it's not the worst it gets. It's just sort of like, eh. So it's not that great. And I actually think that I think that this Star Wars show that just came out is like a C plus. I think it's a little bit better than mid, but but I've only seen 2 episodes, and it may turn out wonderful, but I kind of doubt it. But we'll see. There's a whole lot of Jedi doing their thing, so yippee.
So it's
But yeah,
mid plus.
but there are a bunch of people we don't know because it happened 100 years before any Luke Skywalker. So it's mid plus. Yes, it's mid
I have
plus.
to be honest, I've lost track of that whole franchise in
Yeah,
such a
but
major way. It just got to be too much. Like
it's a lot.
I went in college or whenever it was after college to see like the new trilogy. And then I kind of stepped off the train with Jar Jar Binks. I found it upsetting.
Not the first person to do that.
I found it upsetting and I haven't come back. There have been some like nice clips. I'm like, oh, that looks okay, but I haven't like watched a full movie since that one because it was upsetting and they knew what they were doing.
Right.
Bring
Sort of
me
like,
some Ewoks. Bring me some
yeah,
Ewoks. Bring me some AT-ATs. Bring me something I can latch onto. Give me some childhood nostalgia.
yes,
You know, you can't do CG Leia and expect me to get on board.
right,
I think I
yeah,
saw one other one that was more recent where they did like a complete CG Princess
Leia.
Leia.
It did, yeah. That one was actually a good movie. That was a movie. There was what's it called? I forget. I don't know why it's not.
Yeah, I forgot that I saw that one, but I saw that one in the theater with my in-laws and my
Rogue One.
brother-in-law.
Rogue One. That one
And
was fun.
yes. And then it was around the holidays, and so I
Did
took
that?
them to Alamo. Oh, I dropped my phone. I took them to Alamo, and
Yeah.
my in-laws, the Wards. So then I kept saying Star Wars. And like nobody got into the joke until we got there, and they were like, "Oh, it's a pun.
Yes.
It's a pun, guys."
Yeah. Your humor is sometimes not appreciated,
Sometimes
and
it's not appreciated, but it's okay. I suffer in silence. But I do think though, movie season is ramping up. You know, with the heat here in Texas is one of my favorite things to do because it gets you out of the heat. You feel like you're
you
doing something, but you're not really doing much. You're just sitting there.
feel the heat. I imagine.
Yeah, one of the things John likes to do is give me earworms.
Yes.
From
Feel my heat.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know if we get in
the Boogie
trouble if we
Nights.
sing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
Boogie
have to admit
Nights.
I did play it. I think Boogie Nights is a movie worth a rewatch. And definitely the soundtrack is some timeless classics in there.
Totally.
Um, but
Including.
in terms of what I'm watching, I think I already alluded to where we're heading. I have also been watching Shogun, which I think I we
Oh,
talked about in a
really?
previous show.
Oh,
It's
we did?
I think we may have because it's like a
Yeah.
one show at a time. It's not a binge because you have to really pay attention.
Yeah,
It's very subtle but very beautifully done.
totally. That's
Um,
you're right. Yeah. We did
so it's
talk.
like a one and done. It's like a one and done for a while, and then you come back to it because it's like whoa.
Yeah.
Um, but I, for some reason, I guess right before my vacation, I was talking at work with someone about West Wing, and I was like,
Mm.
I never actually watched that, and I couldn't
Oh,
physically take
really?
any. I couldn't get to the end of LA Law. I was just like the last two seasons were just like all the key people left. There
Ah,
were a few old regulars hanging on, and just they kept throwing too many new people in because they were too desperate. And I just was like, okay, this I want
it
off
had,
this train.
it had jumped the shark.
Yes, for me personally. So I got onto West Wing, which shares actually a main character that was also on LA Law.
Cher was on Westworld?
John Spencer from LA Law is also on West Wing.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. I
And
thought you said Cher was
died. Oh no, no, no. And John Spencer died during the filming of West Wing.
on.
I don't know if he was like in the studio or where he was. He physically died during the while they were making the
I
show.
heard. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm not to those seasons yet, but for some reason it was like a soothing balm for my vacation, which also dovetailed with Memorial Day. So it was like, oh yeah, America.
What's that Aaron Sorkin writing that just hits the sweet spot? You know?
Yeah, it's schmaltz, but it's like a touch of patriotism with a
Yeah.
do the right thing. There's a little bit of a love interest, and there's not, but they just hit all the right notes, like very light, like a Kenny Loggins. Just
I
like,
was, yeah. I just had a conversation with a friend who told me that he ended up doing rowing in college because of the scene written by Aaron Sorkin in the Facebook movie in the Social Network, showing them rowing at the Henley and everything and how cool that looked. And he was like, "Yeah, I had to be a rower when I saw that." So I mean, Aaron Sorkin, influencing us to do things in our lives since 19.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I got into that show. I would say, other than that, it's been kind of slim pickings this summer. Uh,
Yeah.
I tried to get into some of the new Apple shows, which I think I panned last time. I definitely, have some stuff I can't admit publicly that I watch. Um,
Inflammatory.
like the Fox 911 show.
Oh, not
It's
Reno 911, but yeah.
no, that I'll rewatch in a heartbeat because I love it. It's so many good comedians in that one. It's hilarious. But no, this is like a total like adrenaline drama of all the stupid tropes on Fox. Like
Yeah.
it shows you when you're at the bottom of the barrel when you're watching like the emergency shows.
Yeah.
Like, oh, his heart fell out. Oh, there's only one other heart that fits that heart hole, and it's over here, and that person's just over there, and it's like,
Yeah, that's good TV right there, man. Heart holes.
but that's like how ridiculous the show is. I just like Angela Bassett. I just have always liked her. So
She
I
is.
could expect in yeah, she's fabulous. So
Well, geez, here we go. It's like we're nearing 50 minutes, but do you think we've reached the end of our of number? This is number 11, by the way. We've got the
wow.
number 11.
We should get a prize or at the very least another fan mail.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will say that the shorts of this show that I'm pumping out onto the YouTubes are getting like 200 views, and I'm like, woo! So
Viral. Yeah.
that's not bad. I mean, I think the one that got the most views was the one we were talking about. I think we were talking about Google and how they were saying, yeah, we'll stop all the flimflammery by doing some flimflammery, on the phone, right?
Mhm.
We'll listen to your phone conversations to stop anyone from,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna stop the crime by doing crime.
Yes, yes. Flim Flammery. That one got like a bunch of views, so I was proud of that.
Well,
That was
because
good.
it's amazing. Yeah, I need to check that out.
Exactly. Well, should we wrap it up and then go talk about much more juicy stuff once we're off the
Yeah,
show?
like the gossip we can't share with you, internet. We can't give you everything. Just our souls.
Yeah, yeah, no. Just all our time and energy and effort and for as long as we last here.
Yeah, exactly. Like sands through the hourglass. No, I call myself a person of the internet because I really firmly believe I am, and I know you are too. You're as internety, if not more internety.
We are, your name is Anbot and my name is Boybot. So we're a couple of internet bots.
Yeah.
We're a
Wait
couple
till next show we're gonna be AI.
yeah. And make sure to welcome gay. Time to sashay into the store for deals. Happy Pride Month.
Money. Gay? Money.
Money. Sashay into the store for deals. Happy Pride. Ah, that thing's so awesome. Make it go blinky.
Oh, can do that. It's not
How do you
convenient.
do?
The $20 Amazon hat does not it's not like a dude.
Oh, that's wonderful, though. That's wonderful.
It's great for all my events.
You could have
All
worn that.
right.
All right. Love you, everyone. Talk to you soon.
All right, send us fan mail.
See you soon.